Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are going to be continuing to read the Iliad by Homer. So, let's get going. Book 22. Argument. The death of Hector. The Trojans being safe within the walls, Hector only stays to oppose Achilles. Priam is struck at his approach and tries to persuade his son to re-enter the town. Hecuba joins her entreaties, but in vain. Hector consults within himself what measures to take, but at the advance of Achilles his resolution fails him, and he flies. Achilles pursues him thrice round the walls of Troy. The gods debate concerning the fate of Hector. At length Minerva descends to the aid of Achilles. She deludes Hector in the shape of Deiphobus. He stands the combat and is slain. Achilles drags the dead body at his chariot in the sight of Priam and Hecuba. Their lamentations, tears, and despair. Their cries reach the ears of Andromache, who, ignorant of this, was retired into the inner part of the palace. She mounts up to the walls and beholds her dead husband. She swoons at the spectacle, her excess of grief and lamentation. The 30th day still continues. The scene lies under the walls and on the battlements of Troy. Thus to their bulwarks, smit with panic fear, the herded Ilians rush like driven deer. There safe they wipe the briny drops away, and drown in bowls the labours of the day. Close to the walls, advancing o'er the fields, beneath one roof of well-compacted shields, march, bending on the Greeks' embodied powers, far stretching in the shade of Trojan towers. Great Hector singly stayed chained down by fate, there fixed he stood before the Scaean gate. Still his bold arms determined to employ, the guardian still of long defended Troy. Apollo now to tide Achilles turns, the power confessed in all his glory burns. And what, he cries, has Peleus' son in view, with mortal speed a godhead to pursue? For not to thee to know the gods is given, unskilled to trace the latent marks of heaven. What boots thee now that Troy forsook the plain? Vain thy past labour and thy present vain. Safe in their walls are now her troops bestowed, while here thy frantic rage attacks a god. The chief incensed to partial god of day, to check my conquests in the middle way. How few in Ilion else had refuge found! What gasping numbers now had bit the ground! Thou robb'st me of a glory justly mine, powerful of godhead and of fraud divine. Mean fame, alas, for one of heavenly strain, to cheat a mortal who repines in vain. Then to the city, terrible and strong, with high and haughty steps he towered along. So the proud courser, victor of the prize, to the near goal with double ardour flies. Him as he blazing shot across the field, the careful eyes of Priam first beheld. Not half so dreadful rises to the sight, 274, through the thick gloom of some tempestuous night. Orion's dog, the year when autumn weighs, and o'er the feebler stars exerts his rays. Terrific glory for his burning breath taints the red air with fevers, plagues, and death. So flamed his fiery mail, then swept the sage. He strikes his reverend head, now white with age. He lifts his withered arms, uptests the skies. He calls his much-loved son with feeble cries. The son resolved Achilles' force to dare, full at the Scaean gates expects the war. While the sad father on the rampart stands, and thus adjures him with extended hands. Ah, stay not, guardless and alone, Hector, my loved, my dearest, bravest son. Methinks already I behold thee slain, and stretched beneath that fury of the plain. Implacable Achilles, mightest thou be to all the gods no dearer than to me. Thee vultures wild should scatter round the shore, and bloody dogs grow fiercer from thy gore. How many valiant sons I late enjoyed, valiant in vain, by thy cursed arm destroyed, all worse than slaughtered, sold in distant isles, to shameful bondage and unworthy toils. Two, while I speak, my eyes in vain explore, two from one mother sprung, my Polydore, and loved Lycaon now perhaps no more. Oh, if in yonder hostile camp they live, what heaps of gold, what treasures would I give, their grandsire's wealth, by right of birth their own, consigned his daughter with Leligia's throne. But if, which heaven forbid, already lost, all pale they wander on the Stygian coast, what sorrows then must their sad mother know, what anguish I, unutterable woe. Yet less that anguish, less to her, to me, less to all Troy, if not deprived of thee. Yet shun Achilles, enter yet the wall, and spare thyself, thy father, spare us all. Save thy dear life, or if a soul so brave, neglect that thought, thy dearer glory save. Pity while yet I live these silver hairs, while yet thy father feels the woes he bears. Yet cursed with sense, a wretch whom in his rage, all trembling on the verge of helpless age, great Jove has placed, sad spectacle of pain, the bitter dregs of fortune's cup to drain, to fill with scenes of death his closing eyes, and number all his days by miseries. My hero slain, my bridal bed o'erturned, my daughters ravished, and my city burned, my bleeding infants dashed against the floor, these I have yet to see, perhaps yet more. Perhaps even I, reserved by angry fate, the last sad relic of my ruined state, dire pomp of sovereign wretchedness must fall, and stain the pavement of my regal hall, where famished dogs, late guardians of my door, shall lick their mangled masters' spattered gore. Yet for my sons I thank ye gods, 'tis well. Well have they perished, for in fight they fell. Who dies in youth and vigour dies in the best, struck through with wounds all honest on the breast. But when the fates in fullness of their rage spurn the hoar-head of unresisting age, in dust the reverend lineaments deform, and pour to dogs the life-blood scarcely warm. This is misery, the last, the worst, that man can feel, man fated to be cursed. He said, enacting what no words could say, rent from his head the silver locks away. With him the mournful mother bears apart, yet all her sorrows turn not Hector's heart. The zone embraced, her bosom she displayed, and thus fast falling the salt tears she said, Have mercy on me, O my son revere, the words of age attend a parent's prayer. If ever thee in these fond arms I pressed, or stilled thy infant clamours at this breast, ah, do not thus our helpless years forego, but, by our walls secured, repel the foe. Against his rage, if singly thou proceed, shouldst thou but heaven avert it, shouldst thou bleed. Nor must thy corse lie honoured on the bier, nor spouse nor mother grace thee with a tear. Far from our pious rites those dear remains must feast the vultures on the naked plains. And with that, we come to the end of the episode. So, I will say thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.